Hi, in 1.8 we're multiplying algebraic expressions. So in the last section we are adding and subtracting, now we are going to be multiplying. So it says at the top to multiply two monomials. First thing we're doing is multiply their numerical coefficients, which is the number parts, and then multiply the variable parts. Keep in mind the exponent rules from section 1.4. So for the first one, simplify the given algebraic expression. First thing we have to do is keep in mind that we have a 2 on the outside of that, which means everything inside the parenthesis is squared. Or you can also just think, okay, that means I have 2 of those. Now everything's being multiplied. First, we have to multiply the numerical coefficients. So we're multiplying all 3 of those. Well, negative times a negative times a negative will be a negative. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. Now we have to look at all our variables. We have c times c times c, so c cubed, and then we have an s squared, an s, and another s. So that would be 4 altogether, so s to the 4th power. Now, if you need to, you can write out an extra step between these. You could have reordered everything and say, okay, negative 2 times negative 4 times another negative 4 times the c times the c times the c times s squared times s times s. You could do that if you need to. If you feel comfortable not writing that out, then you do not have to. But if you're finding you're making mistakes, please write it out. Now, the next one in letter B. Now we have two binomials, we call it. These would be two binomials. So this is something you're familiar with. Probably foiling is something of how you would have approached it. But how I'm going to do it is I'm going to use the process of distributing. So I'm going to take this x right here and distribute it to both of those. So if I take the x and distribute it to the 2x minus 3. Then I'm going to take this plus 5 and distribute it also to the 2x minus 3. Now we can continue to simplify. X times 2x would be 2x squared. X times negative 3 would be negative 3x. Plus 10x minus 15. The last step we have to do is combine like terms, the 2 in the middle in this case. So we have 2x squared. That would be plus 7x minus 15. Now we cannot combine the 2x squared and the 7x, even though they both have an x, one squared, one isn't. Now what we're going to do in letter C is we have to distribute all of this. So we're going to take this negative 4c squared and multiply it by each of these. So go ahead and pause the video and try that out. Okay, so you would have found here that you would have got 36 c cubed g, or gc cubed, it doesn't matter, plus 8c cubed, and the last one would be minus 4, and then c squared g squared. And you'll notice that we do not have any like terms amongst those because it has to be the same exact variables and the same exact exponents. And even though there's c's and g's here and here, this is cubed, they're both squared, so they do not combine any further. So this would be the final answer here. Okay, the next page. Letter D. When we have a squared here, be very, very, very careful. Common mistake is we get used to distributing and we try to do that. However, that does not work here because now we have a difference in the parentheses. So when you have a difference or a sum in the parentheses, you have to keep in mind what that squared means. If you have something being squared, that means you have two of them, x minus 3y times x minus 3y. And now you're back at a problem like we saw on the previous page where you want to FOIL or distribute here. I'm going to let you work through that one from here and then just check your answers with mine. Letter E. When we look at letter E, you see that we have 3 factors being multiplied. A negative 5, a 3 minus y, and a 3 minus y. Now when we have that, it does not matter the order in which you multiply these 3 factors. Very similar is if you have something like, I'm going to come over on the right here. If we have a 2 times 3 times 5, you could do 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 5 is 30. Or you can multiply the 3 and the 5 first and have 2 times 15 to get 30. It doesn't matter. Here is the same thing. Pick 2 and multiply it. then multiply that product by the other one. So let's say we want to start with just the first two, the 5 and the 3 minus y. So we'd have negative 5 times 3 would be negative 15 plus 5y. Now, since this is a sum, we need to keep the parentheses around it because we need to multiply that whole sum by 3 minus y, and then bring down this y squared. Now, in letter F, what we have to do is we need to take this 2x and distribute it to these three terms, and then take the 3 and distribute it to those three terms. And just to kind of get you set up with that, we'll start by writing that first 2x and then multiply it by those three terms in the second polynomial, and then take this plus 3 here, and we want to distribute that to all three of these. So now you can go ahead and continue to simplify that. Okay, when you are finished with finishing these three problems, unpause the video and check my answers to see how you did. Okay, looking at letter D. So first thing I took x times x to get x squared, and then then x times negative 3y to get negative 3xy. Then we take this negative 3y times x minus 3yx, and then negative 3y times negative 3y is a positive 9. Now keep in mind, this would be y squared. A lot of times we forget the squared here, but if you're taking y times y, it's y squared. Now we have to combine like terms. Pay close attention. This is xy, but this is yx. The commutative property allows us to reorder them. X times y is the same as yx. So these two are what we call like terms. So we get x squared minus 6xy plus 9y squared. In letter E, so we took negative 15 times 3 to get negative 45, negative 15 times a negative y to get positive 15y, then 5y times 3 to get 15y, and then 5y times a negative y, right, that'd be a negative 5y squared, because negative 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, y times y squared, and then we just bring this y squared down. Combine like terms to get negative 45 plus 30y minus 4y squared. And last but not least, we distribute the 2x to everything and the 3, and we get this expression here. You can read through that. Combine like terms, you get a final answer of 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2x plus 15. Common question is, what if our order is different? It doesn't matter if your order is different as long as your signs are correct. Like this 2x cubed has to be positive, these two need to be negative. A lot of times, whenever you have just one variable, you always start with the highest exponent and go in descending order. Now what I want you to do is I want you to try out example 2. Example 2 has an idea of having something squared, which is similar to this up in letter D, but it also has a number in front like letter E. So, and you're going to get some crazy decimals or some very small values in here, but just work through it and see how you do, then check your answer with mine. Okay, and when we do this, so first thing I did is I wrote out the squared, so I mean we have 2 of these. And then, like I said, we have 3 factors here. So I first multiplied the 1,000 by the first factor to get 1,000 plus 2.5r. Again, that's a sum, keep it in parentheses. And then I FOILed or distributed this one. So I took 1,000 times both of those, and then 2.5r times both of those. Combine like terms, and we get this for an answer. 1,000 plus 5r plus 0.0065r squared. That's all we have for this section. Please email me if you have any questions. Goodbye.